And of course, before we get into things, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, do all those fun things because, well, it really helps us out a lot. But here we are, spawning in the bottom left. In the red, he is, of course, representing Berlin, International Gaming. He is SHOWTIME. And his opponent in the upper right, in the blue for Team Liquid, the Little Corporal. He is CLEM. And this is such an interesting matchup that we got here today. On the one hand, we have Demour, the Wall, SHOWTIME, one of the players, more so than anyone else, who is so damn good at not dying to things. It's him, it's Stats, it's Rain, if you remember that name. These players that just play this archetypical, this prototypical defensive Protoss style. They open up maybe 2-gate blink more often than not. They go on in and they go, well, they maybe open a Stargate tech, do these different things, and their goal is not to go kill their opponent before 5 minutes, like, say, parting sometimes, or like SOS. No, what they do, their goal is, in fact, to just survive, to get onto 3 to 4 bases, not take any damage from the Terran aggression, or the Zerg aggression, or even the Protoss aggression. And from there, well, just put themselves, make use of that advantage that they have built for themselves by not dying. But of course, on the other side of the map here, we have CLEM. CLEM, probably the greatest success story of 2020. He went from a new signing from Team Liquid, who is absolutely tearing it up on online cups, to a routine finisher. I don't think he won a tournament this year, but a routine top finisher at all of the major events. No, that's right. He beat Rainer in DreamHack. I want to say it was DreamHack Winter in a fantastic series. No, wait, never mind. Wait, Rainer beat him after going to Hydra Lurker. Yeah, that's what it was. Anyway, really fantastic player, incredibly fast. Now, if I was to say there's some weakness for CLEM, really, I don't know, maybe it's his game sense just slightly, in that he just maybe commits to aggression a little bit too hard. He just kind of tunnel visions on into one spot that he's trying to kill maybe a little bit too hard. And it doesn't necessarily, it means he doesn't win some of the games that he maybe should win. But honestly, when we're looking at players like this, it's not so much as weaknesses as lesser strengths, because, well, CLEM, he is fantastic, and he's so fast, which is really the thing that strikes out at you whenever you watch a VOD of him, or if I was going to first person here, see where his camera is at all over the place. But it is just, he is watching everything, and he's just, his ability to micro on multiple fronts at the same time is really impressive. But, well, he's going to give himself an opportunity here in this game number 1, as he is opening with a Hellion drop here, as he's just going to look to try to take the fight to SHOWTIME really quickly, and maybe bop out of a game, get a free game, or at the very least, show that momentum, show that the pace that he wants to play this game at. Kind of set this idea for what he wants to do here. But look at this. CLEM, he's going to find both Adepts here out on front of his base, and he's going to try to body block one of them with the Hellion, but he will, and well, he won't have to because the Marines will kill it off. But this fantastic micro here from CLEM, will he be able to keep everything alive and knock this Adept down? Looks like that answer is yes. Fantastic, fantastic plays there from CLEM. And yeah, did he have a little bit more? Sure. Could he very easily have lost that Hellion as well and delayed his Hellion drop? Absolutely. So really good job there from CLEM, making sure that he got everything, every possible bit of value there from that little bit of cleanup. And now look at this. He's even going to go on and repair the Hellions to make sure that he is in fact able to really have those Hellions stay alive. Because when you're looking at a Hellion drop like this, if you drop a Hellion that's about half HP, it takes it that much less time for the Stalkers to clean it on up, which means it's that much less damage that you're going to be able to achieve on the map. So the fact that he repairs that, really big, as now he's going to go on in for the drop. Now, SHOWTIME is going for 4-gate blink, which notionally you might say, wow, this is pretty good, right? SHOWTIME's going to have 4 gates, but yeah, those gates are not done yet. Blink is not done yet. So these Hellions are just going to dive on into the mineral line and immediately getting some damage done. Of course, 3 Hellions are all that it takes to one-shot a probe, and actually with a little bit of damage left over. So Hellions are going to keep diving on in, and they've already paid for themselves. The goal is 8, he got 10, and we're just going to have to see how much more he can get here, because the answer is probably a decent amount, at the very least. 12, 14, will we see a couple more? 16 workers do go down, and this is just disastrous here for SHOWTIME at this point. He's looking to try. Again, he wants to do for, he actually wanted to go for an aggressive build in this game, but, I mean, the aggressive build only works if you are able to survive up to it. So now Blink is done, the 4 gates are done, but SHOWTIME, he's only on 26 workers. And yeah, he's going to keep warping on in. 4 Stalkers at a time, but let's see what we have here at home for Clem. Clem already has 1 tank done. Second one is on the way. He has a bunker up in the front. I might like to see a bunker in the high ground. But, and he is getting a 3rd barracks on the way as well. So he's very well set up for this. Now, he will lose that tank pretty quickly. His Marines were on the high ground because I believe he did see the Observer. But look at this. He will get the repair off, and it doesn't look like Showtime has enough. Just barely. Showtime will not be able to knock that down. And a tank for 2 Stalkers? Okay, maybe you wanted to get a little bit better trade, but Clem's saying he's not hating it, right? Because he is literally, well, at one point he was up 20 SCVs compared to his opponent. And in any case, he's going to he has a massive income lead here, especially with the mules that he will have, even with the SCVs being pulled off the line. Because I think even with the SCVs pulled off the line, he's still mining efficiently. So now he's going to try to take this. And the interesting thing, of course, is he has opted to pull off of tank production rather early. Get on into the double tech lab production on his barracks. Get into that combat shield, which is of course going to make these Marines fight a lot better against the Stalkers. That additional 5 HP for Marine, well, it turns out to be quite a lot. But for the moment here, it's going to be a little bit scary as now, well, the Stalkers, they blink on top of the tank, but they are eating damage from a lot of Marines and Marauders throughout the entire time. And that's going to be a lot of Stalkers going on down. Only 6 remain. And suddenly Clem, he's feeling a whole lot better about things. That was a gutsy blink. And it did get the tank, but it just opened Showtime to so much damage there. Now, we do have a couple more Stalkers warping in, but this really is on a timer at this point. Clem, well, we don't see a 3rd base on the way. Well, as I say that, 3rd base now on the way. But again, Stim is just about done here at this point. Combat Shields +1 is actually going to finish before Stim. So with all of these things getting on down, suddenly these Stalkers, they are a lot less effective than they once were. And honestly, against Terran, Stalkers are really only as effective as they are until the Terran has Blink, or until the Terran gets up higher in supply. Because, I mean, there's a certain point, Stalkers, they are high supply, and they do good damage, but they're not all that supply efficient. I mean, certainly with the Blink, you can make them a little bit better, but just in terms of raw stats, they won't trade well. At 150 supply of Stalkers versus 150 supply of Bio, well, we all know how that one's going to go, even with some decent Blink micro. Just notice Clem scanning down to the bottom says, hey, Showtime, did you take a 3rd behind this? How all in are you? And the answer is very, so I think he can actually feel rather confident about this. As there we go, the Widowmine shot's going to go off, knock down 1 Stalker, damage a couple more, and yes, the SCVs are going to get pulled, but it doesn't even matter because all Clem has to do is smash this army, and Showtime's army is falling down into the depths of the earth. GG, Clem is going to take game number 1. Anyway, we do have a little bit of a sneaky probe. Going to come on out onto the map here. And again, this is not, well, I shouldn't say again, this is most likely not going to be anything crazy. We don't have the right tech there for Showtime. He didn't go for a 14 pylon. He didn't go for a 12 pylon. Not even for not even going for a 16 gas that shows it's going to be the parting build. No, this is just your stock standard Protoss opener for the moment. He's going to get that scout off. But really what we're looking at here is not the build for the next minute or so. Realistically, if both players are just kind of opening standard, Clem going with the Marine into Reactor into a Command Center, well, Marine into Command Center into Reactor. Showtime going for a Cyber Expand is going to be the name of the game for Showtime here. So nothing too greedy, but nothing too aggressive on the other side of things. And really what we're looking at here is how Showtime is going to look to play into the mid game. Right, because I really don't expect this to be an aggressive play. We saw what happened when he tried to do something like that in game number 1. Well, Showtime just cut his kneecaps off before he was able to get on in to that aggressive play. So with that being said, I would not be surprised to see a Stargate build start on up here. And, well, we're getting to that point. We're going to have to see whether, whether he does get Warp Gate, whether it's a Stargate. Although I believe it, generally for builds against Terran, you do get Warp Gate, and then you just get your Stargate a little bit later. On the off chance that you have to deal with some bit of early Terran aggression that does require warp bins. Anyway, I would not be surprised to see Stargate here coming on in on this map, strictly because, well, it's got a lot of dead airspace. And when you have a lot of dead airspace, well, it's nice to have Phoenix to patrol that to knock things down. Also, well, it means you can abuse the dead airspace on your opponent's side of the map. Maybe get in, knock down some, kill some SCVs, kill off some army, do whatever, and take advantage of the slightly longer rush distance to take down some tanks or whatever if Clem does decide to go for a 2-base timing. Now, we don't exactly know what Clem is going for yet. We do know it's a 1-1-1, which does imply a slightly later 3rd base, but still we don't know whether this is going to be kind of your 2.5 base all in, or 2.5 base timing where the Terran doesn't get their 3rd base until 7 minutes, and that is after +1 stim combat shields, or whether we see something else. Now, we don't see any add-on on the factory, and we do see a starport right next to it, so this does lend us to believe that this is going to be a Widowmine play of some sort. Widowmine drops coming on in here from CLEM. And considering this is a Stargate opener, I really do like the way this game is starting, at the very least, for Showtime. Game number 1, he just kind of got, I'm not going to say it's a build order loss, because you absolutely can win. You can not lose 16 workers, but you do still expect to lose, to take some damage to the Hellion drop when you do not open with a Stargate play. So in this game, CLEM going for a drop heavy style, something a little bit more aggressive, and in doing so, well, Showtime has, I'm not going to say unknowingly, because he went for this style based off of CLEM's proclivities, but he hasn't really scouted what this is going to be exactly yet. But with the Phoenix on the way out, he's going to have everything he needs to deal with the Widow Mines that are going on in, or that will eventually get dropped in. Now, these Adepts will get knocked down, but, well, with the Oracle here, actually, no, the Adepts will be able to take somewhat of a favorable trade, losing 1 Adept, but killing off a decent number of Marines as well. But at this point, I mean, he's not really going to find his way on into the main base, but the big deal is he's kind of scouted at what's happening. He saw the 1-1-1. He saw that a tech lab was only just now completing on the factory. He saw there was no add-on on the starport, and all of those things should tell him that this was a Widow Mine drop. So really the big question, though, is whether he is aware of this and whether he is going to be in time and in place with his Phoenix to be able to make sure that happens. But already Showtime getting a little bit more damage than he did in game number 1. And honestly, you don't often see Oracles get really any damage at all compared to against Terran. So that's going to be a pretty nice move here, as we do have the drop going on in on the other side of the map. The first Widow Mine will just burrow and burrow, not get a whole lot done here. Second Widow Mine, of course, well, Showtime, he's just going to lift it. And this is actually fantastic. There will be 0 damage on this side of the map here from Showtime, or that Showtime will receive, and he should be able to chase this medevac down as well. Now, CLEM, he's got some tricksy business here, will be able to sneak this on in. Or the question is whether he will be able to sneak it out, but no, the Phoenix on the bottom side will find it, and will be able to knock that medevac down pretty quickly. So that medevac is no longer there. That means there's a little bit less scary presence on the map here from CLEM that Showtime has to deal with, because of course, well, there's not a whole lot he can do, right? He can't really, well, I guess he's just not worried about any potential drops, is what I'm trying to say. But anyway, nice pick up there, but the Widow Mines won't go down, but hey, he will get a Viking. I think he got something else too. Maybe that was an SCV. Anyway, you will get the Viking, which is, of course, a little bit more expensive than Widow Mines, and the Widow Mine's going to go down anyways, so Showtime absolutely making really good use of his Phoenix tech here. Now, the question we're going to see is, how many Phoenix does he go on into? It looks like that answer is 3 for now, as he wants to go into that Zest style. That style that Zest played. I want to say he played this against, I want to say he played this style against CLEM when they played that marathon game back in Katowice. But look at this stasis trap. CLEM, he's looking to get aggressive here, but he will not be able to do so. Not for another 30-odd seconds, not until the stasis trap ends. And, well, when it ends, hopefully Showtime will have charge done by then, and he will have the rest of his gates online. Now, charge is going to be a very near thing, whether that is done, and right now it's just a bunch of Zealots that are getting warped on in. And honestly, Zealots without charge, they're pretty damn useless. So charge is done in 15-20 seconds, and while the army is unfrozen, but these force fields are going to make up for that lack of charge absolutely, as well, we will see the sentries not fail actually to tickle down that Marauder. But again, these force fields are damn good, doing a fantastic job of keeping Showtime alive until his army is ready. But CLEM kind of realizes that this is just a charge lot army, charge lot Immortal Archon. So what do we see here? We see more and more Widow Mines on the way. CLEM just building a massive minefield that is going to make it almost impossible for Showtime to attack on into. Not really. And Showtime has to be careful here. Yes, he's doing a good job, but look at that. I can't believe the Widow Mine had range for that. But anyway, as, well, CLEM tries to dive on in, but Showtime has to be careful about how far he chases, because the mine goes back far. The minefield does go back far, and Showtime, I mean, every shot he takes, that's another dead Zealot, a couple more very wounded Zealots. So, and that coupled with the fact that I don't believe, yeah, we have one observer, but I don't see it with this army, means that, well, Showtime does have to be rather careful, and the supplies are expanding here for CLEM. He's now up 20-30 army supply compared to his opponent, and yeah, sure, he's down 10 workers, but he does have his third base mining now. He does have mules, only 2 mules for the moment. We'll have 3 rather soon when that orbital does complete. But again, Showtime is just getting kited to death, getting kited back into these minefields, and it is making it so... Look at that, at CLEM. Oh, he's going to drop some... those are Marauders, not Widow Mines. Anyway, CLEM is making it so damn difficult for Showtime to actually take the fight he's looking for, but this is the fight. If Showtime's going to take one, this is looking rather good, but CLEM is going to kite himself back on into a choke, and suddenly that fight is not nearly as nice as it was, but now with the Widowmines burrowing up, Showtime is going to be forced back, and that 20 army supply lead we were talking about, now it's 40, or 35. And yeah, Showtime is continuing to produce things. He's continuing to get on into his upgrades, but he doesn't have an upgrade lead. In fact, CLEM will have an upgrade lead for the next bit of time here before Showtime's +2 is done. And we're just going to have to see whether he can continue to hold, because CLEM's army is just ballooning in supply, and he's just sitting here. He's poking the bear over and over again, trying to see what he can do to shave off units here. And Showtime not exactly on hold position just yet. We'll lose more and more zealots. Now, some of the sentries are still alive for the time being as CLEM tries to target them down, and having those sentries is really nice, giving you maybe the extra armor or anything else, but the Phoenix are all just going to go down, and Showtime not dragging them on top, so the Phoenix are just falling down to their doom here. Force fields were doing a fairly decent job, but no, CLEM's just going to pick things up, going to take them back, and will we see that Archon will stay alive, just barely, not some number of HP. Well, it's, what is it? Archons have 5 HP, but like almost no shields. But, you know, Showtime behind this, he's going to take his 4th base, because, again, you do kind of get 4 bases for free on this map, if you can get to it. But CLEM says, oh, that's probably what you're doing. Let me rotate around here just a little bit. Meanwhile, of course, we do have Widowmine drops coming on in onto the other side of the map, but it's only going to be three probes, despite Showtime not really pulling as he needs to. This was only 1 Widowmine and kind of got an unlucky targeting, because, of course, CLEM is microing in the front here, and an Archon will go down, and every time an Archon and Immortal goes down, that's when Showtime cringes internally just a little bit. That's when he gets sad, because yeah, he can make as many zealots as he wants. He has 4 base mineral saturation, but it's when the gas heavy units, it's when the Immortals, it's when the Archons, when they go down, that's when CLEM gets a little bit more scared, right? Because those take a lot longer to produce and they're a lot more expensive. So now CLEM's gonna micro on in once again. Will he get that Immortal? He will. Yes, even through the shield battery overcharge. And now, again, he just keeps poking on here. There we go. Another Archon will go down. So it's, honestly, it's a couple Stalkers. It's an Immortal, and it's charge lots. But, hey, there is a Disruptor on the map now. And having that Disruptor maybe gives Showtime the opportunity to take the counter trades that he's looking for. But, well, he's certainly not gotten them thus far, as Showtime is down down 5,000 resources compared to his opponent in terms of overall trades. And yeah, the Stalkers will blink on forward here. 1 Liberator will go down. 2nd Liberator is going to die eventually, but what is there behind that, right? What can Showtime do to actually beat the army? Now, Disruptor Shot's going to go on off. CLEM's going to cut backward just a little bit. Yeah, he's going to lose a little bit, but that's not nearly enough. And there we go. The Disruptors are going to start to get targeted down. CLEM's just going to micro back for a second. Yeah, he's going to lose a Widowmine, but at this point, he doesn't even care about the Widowmines. He has that upgrade parity. He's just fine there. 2-2 is on the way, and there's just no army here for Showtime. Showtime down 50 army supply, and all he's got to do, all CLEM has to do is target that Disruptor down. The Disruptor's going to go down without getting a shot off, and there is nothing left here for Showtime. I mean, notionally there is, but it's 81 army supply to 28. There is no upgrade lead. There is no tech lead here for Showtime. Nothing that he can really leverage to give himself a lead in this game. Yeah, if CLEM stopped pushing for a minute or 3, maybe he could do something with this game, because the economy's better, but that's just about it. GG. Showtime going to fall down. CLEM takes a 2-game lead. Here we are, spawning in the upper left. In the red, down 2-0, is back against the wall. Once again, for Berlin International Gaming, he is Showtime. And his opponent on the bottom side of the map, in the blue for Team Liquid. Give it up for CLEM. And CLEM, again, he's played 2 rather aggressive games. They've been different versions of the same aggression. Game 1, it's Hellion drops. He kills 16 workers. That's effectively GG right there. Game 2, though, the game went a little bit longer. Showtime actually looked rather good in the early game. The Widowmine drop that CLEM went for did get a lot done. In fact, it got literally 0 damage done. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Showtime's Oracle, and knocks down a couple SCVs, which, honestly, I don't see Oracles get that many SCVs whatsoever. So knocking down, I think it was 2 or 3. That's always going to be nice damage. And Showtime was able to get a good scout on things, was able to figure out exactly what was happening. So with all that being the case, it looked like he was in a really good position to hold off the aggression from CLEM. That and the fact that he was going for a charge lot style out of that Stargate play. And again, charge lot Archon is a very good style to play when going up against these Terran 3 barracks before a 3rd command center builds. These rather aggressive builds, these +1 stim combat shield timings. that Terrans like to go for, well, getting a lot of charge slots is a really nice way to deal with it. But CLEM managed to hit right before charge was done, and he was able to just sit there on the edge of where Showtime felt it was safe. So every time he did that, he was just able to go on in and trade off a little bit more, give Showtime another paper cut. And eventually, those tiny little paper cuts opened up into full-on wounds, and Showtime started bleeding out. And by the end of that game, I mean, again, 11,000 resources lost to 5,000. That kind of says everything you need to hear about how that game went. But it's a new game. It's a new map. We're going to have to see what exactly Showtime can do to append the status quo that CLEM has been inflicting upon him over these last several games. As now CLEM, for the first time, he is going for a Reaper expand. He is going for a bunker, and actually, so this is rather cool. He starts the bunker with an SCV, then pulls that SCV back into the main base, and has the one that's just returning actually finish that build. But the nice thing here is, as the Adept will find its way across the map, CLEM will have 2 SCVs that will be building. So if the Adept tries to go on in and cancel this command center, well, there will be enough SCVs to keep this alive, and that's what we're going to see right here as, well, one SCV will go down, but find its way on into the bunker. Second SCV is just going to pop into the command center, then back on out, maybe into the bunker, but it looks like it's not even necessary. And CLEM is going to take 0 damage from this Adept pressure, when normally, when we look at other players, we see the Adept get 1 to 2 SCVs, maybe delay the command center for 15 seconds when the game goes like it just did. But CLEM, he's on another level. He has those kind of things figured out. And once again, from Showtime, we do have Stargate Opener, but this time, A, there is no Oracle. B, I would not be surprised to see him go on into Phoenix Colossus behind this instead of Phoenix Charge. I do feel like against the way that CLEM is playing, these 2 base timings that CLEM is going for, having that Phoenix Colossus style, maybe it's a little bit more stable, right? Because it doesn't give CLEM this timing that he can kind of hit before charge is done, where the entire army is useless. Colossus without extended thermal lance are still rather useful, especially before Concussive Shell is done. And, well, yeah, Concussive Shell doesn't really do anything to Colossus, but it certainly does things against the rest of the army. So it makes it harder for the Colossus to have that meat shield in front of it, as they can't really retreat at the same time, same speed. So anyways, we will, of course, have that 3rd base on the way here for Showtime, and he's taking a rather interesting one. I guess he doesn't want to take the position on the left-hand side, because that's a really good position that CLEM can siege up his tanks on into. But I guess, realistically, this is kind of the standard position to take a 3rd base at this point. And it is a little bit more wide open, so force fields are not as effective, but also neither are tanks. You can get on top of them a little bit more, and that's going to be rather nice, because CLEM, it does look like, well, as I say that, we have a 430 3rd base, so we're not going to see that 3 barracks +1 stim combat shield timing that CLEM is so known for, but he's getting rather active on the map. He's getting a bit more active on the map with all of this. And away we go. So this is actually a rather interesting push out here from CLEM. We don't have stim on the way. We don't have combat shields on the way. We don't have +1 on the way, but this is, what is this? 13 Marines, 2 Vikings, 2 Cyclones, a tank. This is something that CLEM does in every matchup in some games. It's what I like to call the kitchen sink build. He's like, I got this stuff, whatever it is. Let's get aggressive with it a little. Now, I don't know whether CLEM will be able to get too much done here. I mean, there's an Immortal, there are a couple at depths, there are Phoenix in the sky. It's going to be rather difficult for him to really accomplish too much here. And actually, look at this. The Phoenix will find this tank on the backside, and that will force CLEM back, because maybe he could have gotten something done if he had the tank sieged on up, but, well, the tank was rallying. And it will get taken on down, which does, well, take a lot of oomph out of this push. But at the end of the day, really no harm, no foul. CLEM's not going to lose too much here. That being said, though, the Cyclones, they're going to look for some lock-ons, and I don't believe he'll be able to find it. So what, 5 SCVs have died? Yeah, 5 SCVs have been shaved off from CLEM, and this is Showtime actually getting some damage done. Now, in the context of this game, this damage matters a little bit less than it did in the previous one, or the lack of damage did in the previous one, because CLEM here is on 3 command centers. He is able to produce 3 SCVs at a time once this orbital is done, and he will have mules in triplicate. So all of this means is he cares less about losing 2 SCVs there, 3 SCVs there, because again, 3rd base, he's actually going to start taking that 3rd base right now. And Showtime for his part, of course, he's up 20 workers. Not surprising at this point in the game. You have the Nexus spell. What's it called? Anyway, you have the spell that makes things work faster. I'm absolutely blanking on what that is right now. Now, interestingly enough, we do see Showtime playing the 5 Phoenix Colossus style, so this is a bit more anachronistic version of the Phoenix Colossus play, as we will see one Phoenix get taken on down. And Showtime, unlike a lot of players, often when you see Phoenix Colossus get played, the Protoss player's like, okay, like I'm going up to my X number of Phoenix. If you're stats, you're going up to 9, 10. If you're, say, Showtime in this game, you're going up to 5. But Showtime, now, he says, okay, look, I lost a couple Phoenix, or I lost 1 Phoenix when he restarted Phoenix production. Let's go and make sure that I have something. So I want to always have those 5 Phoenixes. Again, 5 is kind of the magic number there. So you lose 3 Phoenix, or you lose 4 Phoenix in this case. You build 3 more, right? You get yourself back on up to that 5 Phoenix number. But Clem doesn't look like he's going to give Showtime that opportunity. And I don't know whether this attack is predicated on the fact that he just got 3 Phoenix, or whether it's just based off the fact that this is kind of the time that Clem was looking for anyways, with +1 stim combat shield. Most likely the latter, as now Clem's going to drop on into the main base as well, looking to split up Showtime just a little bit as well. Most of the production here from Showtime is still producing. It's not quite there not yet. It's not something that Showtime can use, and we're going to see the Immortal get targeted down. Well, actually, no, not really, because shield battery overcharge is a thing, but this army on the high ground, this drop is getting so much done here. Now, the Colossus are getting some rather nice swipes off, but again, Showtime's not even giving, or Clem's not even giving Showtime the opportunity to really knock the drop down, because he's dealing with stuff in the front here. 1 Colossus will go down, Immortal goes down as well. 2nd Colossus barely is not going to go down here, as Clem will be forced back, because, well, there's a warp in, and there are some Phoenix, but Clem, once again, he's trading real damn well, up 1,000 resources at this point in the game. And about to be more as this Colossus will go down, so now Clem, he's only up 20 army supply, not the 60 that he was in the previous game, but it does feel like once again he has the momentum, and this time having a massive army supply lead is not nearly as important as GG. Showtime saying, look, I am done with this. Clem, you're too good.